Good afternoon. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out for the Kankakee County Law Enforcement NAACP meeting for the 10th of November. And I'd like to call this meeting to order. And we're going to start with Coroner Gessner, and we're going to work around with Chief Phelps, ascertain those members that are present.
Bob Gessner, the coroner.
Jim Phelps, Bourbonnais Police Chief.
Rhonda Showers, Crisis Response.
Donna Sample, Options and Community Member.
Pastor Beto Silva from Life Campus Church.
Mr. Redenas,
Doug Redenas, Bailiff, Kankakee Courthouse.
Don Barber, Chief, Briley PD.
Donnell Austin, Kankakee Police Investigations Commander.
Al Swinford, Manhino Police Department.
Andy Baston, Kankakee County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant.
Carl Brown, Alderman, City of Kankakee.
Right up there.
County Board Member, Hunter.
Oh, yeah, Steve Hunter, County Board Member, NAACP, Hispanic Partnership.
Mayor.
Mayor Mark Hodge, Village of Hopkins Park.
Ken McCabe, Chief Deputy, Kankakee County Clerk's Office.
Mike Downey, Kankakee County Sheriff.
Theodis Pace, President, Kankakee County Branch NAACP, and Chief Passwater also just walked in. So Lieutenant Mason is not here that we can deal with our minutes from the previous meeting, but for those members who was there, basically it was just an update again, dealing with body cams. We addressed, talked about the incident that happened outside the courthouse with the shooting there, and again, our training that's going to be held on the 13th of this month, which is this coming Saturday. So Mrs. Sample will be talking about, and I think, Mr. Bass Andy will be, you're going to be doing the training, right? Give an update on the training, which is going to be at ONU from Saturday, and is that time from 9 to 4 and 9 to 1? Is that right? 9 to 4? Okay, thank you. So let's just start with item 4, the response team selection of the spokesperson, and that is Donna Sample. And it was a conversation from our meeting in September regarding the involvement of the community shooting. I received a few phone calls with some of the comments that was made in that particular meeting, Chief Swinford, on sort of their views of how the response team would deal with community shootings. So Donna and Andy, we might want to we might have to have that conversation on Saturday. How far shall that the team really address that? If again, for those members that was here, they was looking at what happened outside the courthouse, what would be our involvement in that. So anybody else that's here, and so how we sort of resolve that, or the conversation piece. Chief, you remember any of that? Donna?
Do I recall any of what the original intent was of
Yes.
the team? Well, I think at that time it was more narrowly focused on police-involved shootings. So when we talk about the incident at the courthouse, obviously that wasn't a police event. The police responded to it and handled
Right.
it. It wasn't a police shooting. So, I mean, the team can do whatever the team wants to do. But originally it was more narrowly focused because of a Ferguson type of incident that it was a police-involved shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just a discussion I think we need to have going forward, what we want this team to do.
Then also, I think I know County Board Hunter and Chief Barber, Lieutenant Mason, and Deputy Chief Anderson. We also had a conversation early in the year regarding the incident out at Hobby Lobby on. Remember that, the little incident? And so that was another piece where actually we couldn't get the person to come to review the video or any type of statement. So again, I think we really need to stress what are our do's and don'ts and how far do we really go in there, because again, it was the intent of this body to deal with how would we address civil unrest and other incidents regarding police involvement with maybe possibly individuals or individuals in our respective communities. So I think somehow we might want to have that conversation again. I know State's Attorney Rowe and I, after the meeting, we sort of had a little brief conversation regarding that. So, Ms. Sample, you want to just?
Chief Passwater, based upon your post incident review of the shooting, were there any things that you would do different? Because there were a couple press conferences, I think, weren't there? Could you, in retrospect, think about what you would do different than what you did at those two press conferences which you had?
I mean, it's always, you can always, second guess what we did. I think what we did at the time was sufficient and it filled the need what we wanted to do. Have I gone back and really looked at it and said, okay, here's what we would have done different? I mean, we have spoken about it and within our department, and I think we had a debriefing here too, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know. At the time, you're just doing the best you can do with the information you have. So I think that certainly you learn from experiences like that. But I don't know if I would have done anything different at that point.
Yeah, I think, second guess is a little strong assessment. But, I know there were some concerns in retrospect that when you took a look at the things you saw on TV, 752 or whatever, those stations, TV stations, we heard, from the NAACP that maybe there could have been a better blend of personnel in terms of the press conference. And I was just wondering if it ever came up during your post incident review.
No, the only place I heard that was here. I mean, we didn't hear from any other officers, or I've never heard that from the community, or no one's ever contacted me about that. I mean, the people who were at the press conference were the ones who were there helping us out at the time and who were basically in the command center, the mobile command center. So I don't know if it was necessary to invite somebody just from the outside to come in to stand behind us if they weren't part of the initial thing. So that's kind of where we were at.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I mean, there's a ton of people working behind the scenes that weren't behind the press conference. Just a few of us stood up there. So there was a lot of officers and a lot of administrators. And everybody else was there. So a lot of people just don't want to be in that situation. I certainly didn't want to be at the press conference. So they also probably didn't want to be in the camera view either. So
Okay. Can you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Kaylee Legacy. I'm Ms. Shower's intern.
Until the mic, we can't hear you.
Sorry. My name is Kaylee Legacy. I am an ONU student, and I am Ms. Shower's intern.
Oh, okay. State's Attorney?
Jim Rose, State's Attorney.
Okay, Ms. Sample and Chief Swinford and Mr. Basin. You guys want to just talk about Saturday?
Okay, so Saturday, we have the Weber Center scheduled for the crisis response team training from 9 to 4. I have been receiving feedback that some are attending, some can come part of the day, and some just can't make it. So we're not exactly sure what that number is of attendees, but we're still trying to reach out. Rhonda was saying she has a few that she's going to reach out to. What we would like to do following this training is to schedule an off-site meeting. This group has got to understand its purpose, and so it's hard to say where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing if we are not all on the same page with what the purpose of this group is. And so going with the original literature that was provided to us, was that it is to be mobilized in the incident of a police-related shooting that may result in a community unrest situation. So we want to get together. We also have to identify who are going to be those core group players, because everyone can't be everywhere at the same time. So we have to have a handful of, core players that will do the best they can to make themselves available. And so we need to come back together for this training. Many of us who attended the first one are going to come back and do this again. We thought it was very, very good information, and we know that we still have more to learn from this training again. So we will be there, and then from there, that day, Saturday, I would like to leave with a date and location for us to meet again and begin to really put some boundaries and supports around this group so that we know what we're doing and what our role is and what our role is not. I just don't want us to ever be in a situation that we step into something that's not our place. And so I think we're going to have a really good working relationship with law enforcement to say, you know what, this is not your lane. And I think some situations is going to be just that. It's just not our lane. But in a situation of community unrest, that's where I think our focus is going to be, is on the community. So we've got to get this understood, and I really would like to take any information from our next meeting, put it into a working document that we continue to grow and develop as time goes on. But we got to identify our core players first.
I agree, and before Chief Swinford and our Deputy Basin speak, we had a quarterly meeting of all of the branches, NAACP branches across the state, Donna, Chief, and Andy. And I'm going to talk to the president and see how we can possibly, in our next quarterly meeting, where we can have a presentation. Now, I know we have had, I think, Peoria and two branches actually visit one of the meetings, but I'd like for us to give a quick presentation, a snippet of what we do in training, the mission, the purpose of our response team, because there are other individuals across the state trying to emulate or have or either draft some of the things that we're doing. And so Stevie, myself, Paulette, about 7 of us was on the meeting Saturday, Zoom meeting. And so I think it would be something that we could do next year in the next quarterly meeting, that we could probably deal with that, because, Sheriff, we still have individuals in State's Attorney Rowe. There's individuals still have major issues with what came from Senator Sims. And some of those issues in that particular was 36, 58, whatever, that, 53, people still have issues with that. And I mean, we as a branch here in Kankakee County, it's nothing that we could probably do, but I'm saying overall, there's still individuals across the state that's not satisfied with those I's dotted and the T's in that particular bill. So I think that, so we could get some of the other bills, because people to look at. And what we're trying to do with our political action committee statewide is to have municipalities to come with policies in a relationship where we can bridge that gap with law enforcement. So that's what I think, that's where we're headed. So,
Mr. President, and Sheriff Downey, you may recall we had those of us who attended the legislative breakfast at the country club a couple months ago. Okay, well, anyway, all of our local legislators were there, one of which came at the 11th hour. And I know Senator Joyce has tried to pair you and Senator Sims together to discuss some things. Is there a possibility that we can try again to get him come here and make a presentation, because it seems like
Yeah.
he's moonwalking. Like,
Well, let me respond for you, Sheriff. The state president have a relationship with Senator Sims, and they're having a dialogue regarding that from the NAACP perspective. So I don't know if it's necessarily him coming here, but I just think it's something that the 42 branches that can sit down and have him from a different perspective on how that we can deal with that particular bill. So,
okay.
yeah.
Foolish, yeah.
So, Chief, you get we can about the training Saturday.
Yep, I think we're in pretty good shape. As far as the training goes this Saturday, it's at ONU this time, not KCC. I think it's going to work out fine. The simulator's there. We are all day now. As you recall, the last training was half a day. It was way rushed. We had to cut the speakers short, and we're pushing them along. So now should have plenty of time to speak. I'm guessing Andy's going to take up a good chunk of the morning, if not all of it. And then we'll do the simulator. I've gotten confirmation from, I think, most of our trainers. We do have a gap. Jim's group is just too short now to be there, so we'll have to change that around. But Avery's going to be there. I think Donnell is going to be there, so I think we're ready to go.
Okay.
We'll have to see how many. Like the last time, it's just getting people there. Now is the challenge.
I just had a question. Is the Weber Center already set up with everything that you guys need for the video and everything? Dr. Stroud asked me to check in today and get back with her after the meeting if there was anything that you guys needed to do what you're going to do.
We need a PowerPoint with sound. I think
Okay.
that'd probably be all we really need.
Okay. So I know there was a was it public safety? Not public safety. What you guys committee did today? Criminal justice. So in your last September meeting, you guys approved regarding your body cams. You presented. Was it September meeting?
We did. No, actually, we requested that shortly after 3653 passed because we knew they were coming, and it was better to get a jump on everything instead of waiting until the last minute. So the board approved it. We ordered them. We did actually get some grant money from it. So the board did not end up paying the whole boat on it. And we are implementing them as we can. Some of our computers in our cars were, shall we say, aged.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have been replacing those computers. And with those computers, they are the same company with the cameras, so everything is going to be working together. And so we do have about, I want to say half our patrolmen right now have their body cams on and functioning, and they're working out really good. And our guys, as I've said before, and Steve has heard me say this a number of times, they're going to protect our guys more than they're going to protect the guys on the street. So, and we've already found out that they have.
So Sheriff, and I know Chief Barber and I think his deputy chief. I know Lieutenant Mason was here. So is there, once we got Alderman Brown, public safety in the city, and we got the chief here from Kankakee. So let's say once we got Bradley, Bourbonnais, the sheriff, Mantino, the city, Kankakee, do you think we could possibly do a joint press release or something, news release? No, I would probably say a press conference to make the community aware, because Chief, I think was in our last meeting, was talking about doing something with Bradley. So you pretty much roll yours out also. September
they've
1st.
had
So
theirs. I know Mantino's had theirs for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as city gets theirs, and Bourbonnais had them probably the longest of anybody
Right.
in here.
So Chief, any target date?
We're probably going to go to council on Monday to get it approved to buy them, and then I talked to the vendor, and it's going to be sometime at the end of December or 1st of January to start.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple months once you
Yeah,
get it approved.
Because it takes a while for them to get them and then start the process.
They have to
So,
build them.
Yeah.
So our next meeting would be
January
January.
sometime.
So if not January, February, we could probably do something jointly as late as early as March.
Well, if you wanted to put them off, put the meeting off till February, maybe you could do it then.
Okay. we could
That's up to
probably-
you, though.
Yeah.
Could you have Chief Passwater also speak to the license plate cameras that you guys dealt with when was it last week?
At public safety,
Yeah.
we're just, so I think most of the other agencies already have them, the LPR readers, through Flock Camera. We just got approved to do 5 of them. This is part of our comprehensive plan. We want to do more cameras in the city, so the Flock readers are just part of that. And that was approved through public safety and hopefully approved through council, so we would probably start those in December sometime. It takes a while to get.
Those,
approved.
Robin, those should get up pretty quick.
Yeah, we're gonna, I know there's some.
Depending on when they're
problem
approved and all
with
that,
the permit,
but the problem, and,
It's the permit stuff.
well, the permit for the state roads
Yeah.
only. IDOT,
Road.
the state roads. So, for instance, in talking to Chief Swinford, or maybe it was somebody else from your department, they said the one that you have in Mantino, was almost a year for IDOT to get the permit for them to put it on there. So actually, what we're doing is I just got signatures. We're going to send a letter to our state rep and our senator with the signatures of all the chiefs saying, can you help us move IDOT along to get us these permits? Because our county ones are up in the county, and those were not difficult to do, but the state is just, they just drag their feet. I mean, to take a year to put up one camera is kind of ridiculous, but.
So Chair, for the layperson, what is the advantage of this apparatus?
So flock cameras, and any of the other administrators, anybody else can jump in. The advantage for law enforcement is simply this, and I'll use actually one of our homicides without being, giving out too much information. When you know that a car left a certain place, you want to be able to track that car to wherever they ended up. We were fortunate that Bradley had some cameras, and we were able to track it through Bradley's cameras. But literally, if you're looking for a car, and as Chief Passwater said, these are license plate reading cameras, so nobody can sit there and watch the cameras and see that somebody's breaking the law. These are strictly license plate readers that we know. I can put Mr. Hunter's license plate in the system and find out every camera he's driven by in the last 2 hours if I wanted to. Obviously, we don't do that. We're looking for a specific car because they require us to give you a reason why we're searching for this license plate. But they have been instrumental in, I think the first week we had them between Mantino and us, although Mantino's had theirs for a while, we literally found 3 stolen cars in a matter of 3 days. Where cars were driven by the cameras. There was what we call a flock hit, and it notifies the agency, and we were able to dispatch guys or contact Mantino, and they were able to get some people in custody with stolen cars.
So is that someone, the camera provide the information, or a person is on a computer looking at the different?
Nope, we're not looking at them. They're not live. I mean, they're not live for us. So a car goes by, if whatever your license plate is, let's say it's 12345. If we put Illinois license plate 12345, because we're looking for that car, we'll be able to see every camera that it's gone by.
So basically, we have the cameras, but most citizens is unaware of the cameras.
Yeah, but there'd be no reason for them to, because we're not looking for them. What we're looking for are stolen vehicles, because we can't see it live. I mean, could somebody put a license plate in? Could I put your license plate in and find out where you've been? Yeah, you could. But you have to have a reason to do that. And if you abuse that, then obviously Flock is going to come back and,
Okay.
so.
All right, so,
Anybody else want to add anything? That's,
Well, I mean, it also runs like for Amber Alerts, when kids are
Yeah.
abducted.
Yep,
It sends them
exactly.
alerts.
Missing persons, get somebody with Alzheimer's, takes
Yep.
off in a car, it'll trigger you immediately where that car's at.
Yep.
Good.
Hit and run accidents, so we're looking at it for a lot of things, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're up on the body cam. So if nothing else, what would be that, instead of January, let's look at February. And so that means we wouldn't meet March. We'll just go back to look at that. What was that?
I just, that's only one aspect of us meeting. I mean, there's a bunch of other things that we could be talking about.
Okay, well.
Yeah, we can still meet
I
in January.
agree. Yeah, I'm just,
Yeah. Let me
so
just
the next
mention
meeting will be
something,
January 12th.
and I don't want to, this is something that's heavy on my heart. Sheriff Downey gave some information this morning during criminal justice, and I think he mentioned some things before in terms of the number of sheriffs who are not running for re-election and resignations and all that stuff. Talked with Deputy Chief Kidwell.
You talking about recruitment?
Yeah.
Let's hold that for a
Okay.
moment.
Well, I got to
'cause-
leave here in about 10 minutes.
Well, I'm just because I think that was something that I have on the agenda under the next item. So we got the training, and then I wanted to go to our state's attorney Rowe. But okay, so let's do that. So
Okay.
it's no different than sheriff, the sheriff or Swinford, Barber, and Passwater here. I think
Phelps.
every, what's that?
And Phelps.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's hiding over there, man. See how he dipped out over there? Look at him, man. He's hiding. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Sheriff.
You're welcome.
See, he's way over there. See, normally he's sitting over there.
Sorry, Jim.
Yeah, so everybody is up in arm about training, and I know Sheriff Passwater sent some information September. We saturated all our social media, Twitter. We put it on our website. We put it on the Facebook. Paulette sent it out to most of our members, where we're trying to recruit different officers for the city of Kankakee, get individuals to take the test. So we can go. We're going to start with you, Sheriff Chief Passwater, with our conversation and the information that you sent, and then I know Stevie and I had a conversation this past Thursday and Friday with Deputy Chief Kidwell. So what are some of the things that I know what we're going to be trying to do to assist you or Phelps or Barber or the Sheriff Department on recruiting, particularly officers? And it's an incident just happened in the city of Kankakee. I haven't even talked to the chief, or I had said anything to Alderman Brown, but with four officers, including Lieutenant Sneed, Deputy Chief Hunt leaving, there's some things that's already happened within the city of Kankakee community, where those Miller, Skirky where people have lost that contact of individuals who have those relationships with those individuals who retired. So, Chief?
I'm not sure this is on now.
Nope, it's not.
Now I'm talking about where you and I talked and the
Yeah,
information you sent and with
so,
Kidwell.
No doubt, our testing process is this Saturday. The recruitment period ended the 27th.
Right.
So we were out for a full month with information out. We put it out every place we thought we could put it out. Obviously, James Taylor picked up on that. I talked to him about doing an advertisement. He said, I'll do the whole front page, and he did for us. So we don't know where we're going to be at on Saturday. We don't know who's showing up. It's going to be interesting to see how many local people we have
That's at KCC?
at the high school. So we had,
Okay.
I think, 39 applications taken out. If all those show up, then that's going to be good, because it's probably more than we expected. for lateral entry, we had 11 or 12 apply. We have one female and I think 2 African American males applied. Both of them, the African American males, already have jobs. So
I heard.
so that's where we're at. We just don't know. I mean, obviously, guys are going to retire. Guys are going to come and go. We've hired a lot of minorities. I mean, you see one of the posters we put out. I think we have 11 females in our department, and we'll just hire who's on the list. That I can't make people take that test, and we put it out everywhere we can and try to get it out. And hopefully, the information's out there. I will say one thing that Richard Brooks, when he got on 27 years ago, he was hired 27 years ago. We hired another female from Kankakee. She was born in Kankakee. It took 27 years for that to happen. So I don't know if that's a recruiting thing, but I don't think it is. I think there's a problem when it takes 27 years for an African American from Kankakee to get on the police department. Like I've always said before, the fire department, there's a lot of pressure on the police department, none on the fire department, which is amazing because they have almost zero minorities. And I'm really getting tired of everybody pushing it back on us when we do a really good job and nobody ever questions what's going on over at that side of it. So
Chief, you're absolutely right, but it's also the times of police reform and the things that's going across the nation, which put law enforcement per se under the microscope. That's what it is. And the previous chief, fire chief, I had a relationship with, and the one before that, and even with Jim Stokes retiring, and before that, we were looking at trying to get individuals, even on the fire department in the city of Kankakee. But you're right. So the pressure is there because of what's going on nationally. But when I left home today, if you're watching TV, you got what's the trial going on now? What's going on in Georgia? And people going crazy with, since we're just talking, a black man get shot jogging, and then there's a trial with 11 whites, 1 black. So everything is big microscope, and it deals with law enforcement, it deals with police reform, deal with racism, deal with lack of policies, and that's what I'm saying. Until this right here, this meeting, the individuals, 10 shared principles, the response team, a progressive state's attorney, sheriff that we can have a relationship with, the city, Bradley, Bourbonnais, Mantino, Grant Park. We have relationships with all of those municipalities and department. However, clearly, you're never going to hear me say it's the same thing, no different than Dr. Walters or the new superintendent at Bradley Bourbonnais Community High School. I'm not going to say because you have less minorities who want to be teachers. We had the conversation, I don't know if it was you, or might have been with Kidwell the other day. When most people my age back in the day, nurse, teacher, police, fireman, that's what a kid going to say they want to be. Nobody want to be a police officer. Who wants to be a teacher? Because they're going to talk about pay. Who wants to deal with the lack of discipline? So it's our times, and I think it's not on you, Chief. It's not on Barbara. It's not on Phelps, and it's not on the sheriff. It's on the whole community, all of us, to try to deal with it. 3-4 meetings ago, we talked about how can we grow our own firemen? How can we raise and grow our own police officers? And so that's good to be at the high school. Jim Rowe, the sheriff, and everybody, Willie Hunt, when we used to have the career fairs in District 111, even at the 3rd grade level at Taft Primary, where we have in the fire department, the police, the sheriff, Jim Rowe, everybody come in, where you're trying to educate and start dealing with the minds of these kids of exposing them to the different type of occupations. So I think I don't want you to feel that I'm pressuring you. I'm just saying it's also good for our community, because in this day and age, if you don't have equity, if you don't have diversity, if you don't have inclusion, then it's going to be an issue. Donna Sample just said no more than a month and a half ago, probably after she was training, not if, but when. That's why we're here. And I'm telling you, the conversation with Alderman Michael Bryant, he and I, the outgrowth of a conversation years ago, Chief Phelps, with the Bears being in Bourbonnais, all those people coming south for years, what if something happened in this county and with the Chicago Bears? So what we have to do, we got to start putting things in place. The Friendship Committee came out, lucky for Jim, to purchase the body cams for the police department in Bourbonnais. Bradley, the only thing, and it's nothing. I just feel sometimes we, a citizen of the city of Kankakee, who is the flagship, who's the county seat, we fall behind the progressiveness of, years ago, we should have had body cams before you guys. That's a fact. Why? More minorities and people live in the city of Kankakee. If something happened, it's just that fact. However, those are the things that we're doing. But again, we have the relationship, and we're not going to always disagree. So, Chief, I'm in your corner, and you're not going to hear me say, I'm here to figure out how can we get more individuals to be good law enforcement. We have to have progressive policies to meet the need of the people that lives in this county. That's just facts.
Chairman, let me just say this to you. Something that happened last week, and you referenced our conversation with Kidwell, Chief Passwater. You guys may recall under the Clinton administration, Bob Moore, I first met him maybe 30-some years ago. He was one of the few African-American state troopers. Since that time, he's progressed up to be police chief in several states, different towns. Additionally, he was a U.S. Marshal. And since that particular time, he has gone out and has a consulting firm. And also, he has a relationship with the Illinois State Police in terms of 10 shared principles, and that's part of the curriculum Sheriff Downing had talked about this morning. Additionally, he has a headhunter firm, and he does assessments on police forces. In fact, I got a hold of him the other day, and he was up in Michigan. Anyway, I had a conversation with Kidwell. Kidwell made a phone call to him, and I guess you should be interfacing regarding him trying to assist you guys. Alderman Brown is chairman of public safety. We've had lateral entry for I don't know how long, not only for a police department and fire department, but you may need to go outside the box, and I'm glad that you guys reached out to Bob Moore in terms of trying to find some people for you.
I mean, the thing now is the list that we're going to put together is good for 2 years. So all I would say is that this here information went out a month ago.
Yeah.
And I can only deal with the information I got back or the people who applied. I mean, even if he does some stuff for us, it's going to be 2 years before that list is up, or unless we go through.
You can't go via lateral entry?
The lateral entry list is good for 2 years too, unless we go through it all. So we designed both of those. I mean, the lateral entry thing, we put it out nationwide, basically. So they got to be looking for these jobs, and they got to apply for them. So that's kind of where we're at. I mean, both of these lists are going to tie up us up for 2 years unless we go through the entire list, and that's the last list lasted 8 months. So we may do the same thing.
Well, it's not being directed at you per se, but the city can't keep
I don't know. I mean, if you guys being vague, you guys can tell me or any of these other chiefs where to go to get these guys. I don't know.
I
mean,
can't
we
tell
can't.
you. Well, let me
I mean,
just say this.
everybody complains, but nobody ever says, "Oh, go over here. They're over here. Go talk to this guy." And I've had personal people tell me, "Go talk to this guy." And we have reached out to guys. We have reached out, try to get them to apply and everything. But there's no easy answer to this.
And the answer is those two other Afro-American individuals that was on the list, they went elsewhere because of pay, correct? I'm just assuming.
Well, we got to pay up. So we just did that through the city council and the mayor, and everybody got to pay up. And no, I don't think it was because of pay. I think they got offered jobs quicker than we did. We were trying to do this as fast as possible, but there is such a demand. We've already lost 2 or 3 people off the one list, so we're trying to. We hired 3 people last night.
Well, I think Chief Swinford and I think Chief Phelps in the last year, I know for a fact there's been a couple of agencies who want to hire individuals, and I think 1 or 2 went to Joliet, another one went to Chicago, and it was I'm just assuming.
I mean, that's happening with us. It happened with us.
It's universal.
Yeah,
It's
so
nationwide.
there's a
It's not
really,
just you.
there's.
And it's the same thing with Afro-American, and you talking about
Right, they're gonna go-
teachers. Teachers, I mean, they're going to go where I'm going to get paid, and there's some benefits.
And the weather
Yeah,
as well,
and
too.
even weather it comes into play, believe it or not. Well, I'm going to be in Illinois, and I can go to Alabama or Georgia somewhere.
I think
So-
we all have that problem of trying to attract, African Americans to do the
But
job.
I think,
It's just- I don't know.
but quite frankly, I think what we can do, if nothing else, we can narrow this particular conversation down to Chief Barber, Chief Phelps, you, Donnell, Kidwell, and bring Barb Moore in, where we can maybe try to formulate some type of game plan, how we can deal with it. Because I'm just saying, believe me, I'm not saying you're not doing your job. I'm not saying Dr. Walters not doing a job, or Phelps, or whoever, because it's a shortage. People just, teachers, police officers, folks, it's just out there, and it's a commodity. If I can go elsewhere and make more money, they had the jobs before we could get them. So I'm here as to ensure that we're providing services to the citizens in reference to law enforcement. So I
think it's just frustrating for us all. I mean,
It is.
We can only get people to apply who apply. We can't reach out any more than we can. And then, I mean, I'm Saturday. I'll find out who applied to our job and see who's there. And hopefully it's a good mix of people. And I think the last list was. We certainly get a lot of females applying now, so we'll see where we're at on Saturday.
right.
I like to really see how many local people we have, because that hasn't been.
So what time is that on Saturday?
9 o'clock.
That's from 9 to noon, and the interview, I'm assuming it's the same process we used to have out at KCC, correct?
Yeah, similar. It's
Yeah.
no, it's 9 to noon, and then the interview is going to be hopefully next weekend.
Okay. All right, so that's the thing, but I'm just saying, it's about recruiting, it's about just trying to ensure that all our officers is up on 10 shared principles. Oh, that's another piece, Sheriff. Everyone now coming out of the state police also is being trained through 10 shared principles and the other things that have been put in place.
And
for
also
them.
something we missed as well, too. I think we found out at our NAACP post-banquet, venue, there was a black police officers venue, and was it Bloomington Normal 2 or 3 weeks?
You had, not Abel?
No, I don't know if it
Who
was.
was Abel, Sheriff?
Griffin Abel?
No,
No,
that's
I
a
don't
group.
think.
Noble.
Oh, it could, yeah. Anyway, Noble somebody organization. They met in Moss at Bloomington Normal,
Bloomington.
which we didn't find out about until
Yeah.
a week ago Saturday. you know, there could have been something, but I didn't know about it until a week
Yeah,
ago
it
Saturday.
was Saturday, yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday.
So, you know, we just need to do a little better job, and it's something that's, you know, universal in terms of this country. Like I was telling you, all the mass exodus of law enforcement in terms of retirement, you know, resigning, whatever, you know, that impacts everybody in this particular county.
Yeah. So I just think that because our last conversation and with my issue with myself, but I know that we took the information and put it on and throughout our social media one-on-one. And Chief, I'm gonna tell you something. When you, it's no different like Donna's talking to individuals just regarding training. And you would think the person that I'm having that one-on-one conversation sort of have that understanding that what's the benefit of going out to ONU on Saturday, how you're going to benefit the community, and once they tell you that, you think they're going to show, they don't show. And so when you think a person said, well, okay, I want you to go KCC a couple of years ago, the sheriff called me, they want you to be on a committee interview process, and you scoring individuals, and you think, and the person, well, no, I'm going to Peoria for the job. So yeah, that's Doug.
Couple of times a month, there are several hundred men and women from not outside of this community. They come into this community over at the Army Reserve Base. What you might want to do is put something on their bulletin board over there. I see them all the time because I'm at the airport all the time. There's a huge diversity of Asians, blacks, whites that come in for their training over there. They don't see the newspapers. They don't listen to these radio programs if you're looking internally. But if someone's about to get out of the Army Reserves and looking for some career, if they look at the bulletin board and see you're looking for somebody, they could be a very good source of help. Just a thought.
Good. So, anything, State's Attorney? No update? Bob? Anything? Chief? No? Rhonda? And the intern? Reinforcing training, Donna?
Microphone, please.
People have to want to be committed to be a part of the whole, to be a better part of the whole. And it's hard to find people who are committed to, you know, run that long race. And it's getting fewer and fewer. So I really feel what they're going through and trying to make accomplishments. We're all, I think, just doing the best we can. And we, you know, nobody is confused as to what we see. It's just, I don't think any one person has that magic button that can fix that. And so we all just stay busy, and hopefully we can find some more committed people.
Well, maybe we can get some individuals from Compass Church there. Pastor?
Recruitment already.
So, I mean, did we recruit him for Saturday, Donna?
Yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
Just wanted to thank you for the opportunity. As a Hispanic pastor in the community, I've been here for only 4 years, but I'm willing to learn and share information about how I see my community, people that I've been in contact with for the past 4 years, and anything I can do to serve, I'm here for you guys as well. Thank you.
Well, Pastor, I thought you was going to bring your guitar and have a song.
It's in the car, sir.
Oh, it's in where?
In the car.
Oh, it's in the car. Well, I enjoyed you at the last service I attended, so appreciate it. Doug, anything else?
Nope.
Chief? Rolling out those body cams. Chief Swinford? Chief? No? Alderman Brown? No? Okay. Sheriff, I just want to say this. Believe it or not, a lot of times here, Corner Gessner, Sheriff, we be thinking that we're not doing anything in the community. Jim, I saw your post the other day about all the positive things that we do. However, we don't get Channel 257, GM, or Fox News down here. And I'm just saying this, and Chief Passwater, I'm on your team. Are we going to always agree? We not. Sheriff and I don't always agree. My brother Brown, we don't agree. But one of the things that we have, that's the closest thing to have a brother. And I'm a Steeler fan, and his team lose all the time. You know, but the whole thing about it is that, Chief Barber, at least we can communicate. I'm telling you, of these 102 counties, Chief Phelps and Bob, some of these other individuals don't know they don't have this kind of dialogue. Just think of 101 other counties. It's a little different than, the two counties, the second county north of here. But I'm saying counties that fits our demographics, we're doing some things that, again, I indicated at the NAACP banquet. Mayor, it's not every day you can pick up the phone, call the sheriff of a respective county.
He does. He does sometimes.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, right, okay, I got you. But you don't pick up the phone and call your state's attorney. I guarantee you're not going to go down to Cole and wherever, down in Cairo or either Champaign. Some of those counties, Effingham. It just don't happen where you have those relationships and you can disagree and pick up the phone. It's just the climate, the environment that we are in. Everybody wants EDI, they want equity, they want diversity, they want inclusion, and you're right, Sheriff and Chief. If a person don't apply, I can post all the jobs I want, but the individuals don't apply, then what can I do? However, we also have to try to put some policies in or some kind of mechanism, training, and I'm telling you, I think we're at a point that we almost we got to grow our own in a way. No different than some of the things that we have to do in this community, and I'm telling you, this group and the group that Rhonda and Donna and Doug, those are the only 3 members here that's a member of this response team. They're special because if you get individuals from Peoria and Champaign and Bloomington coming here trying to emulate what we're doing, well, then that means we must be doing something unique that they think they can do in their community. And all we want to do is make sure that we are above board when it comes to law enforcement and to address the issues that's going on across this nation. And everybody is talking about, well, what is police reform? So we got a minute. So, Mr. Rowe, what is definition of police reform? You got 20, 30, 29 seconds.
Department by department. Some departments need different types of reform than others. I won't speak for police and law enforcement. I know within my office, our idea of reform is to make sure that you balance those scales of justice, that justice looks different in every case. So really try to find, instead of maybe how to punish someone, what's the best public safety outcome in a case. And sometimes prison is more than appropriate, and sometimes it's not appropriate. So those are type of reforms I think that at least in the state's attorney's office we try to implement to do better at finding justice in every case.
Mm-hmm. Now, through the Sheriff Downey, but Alderman Brown informed me months ago that we have more diversion programs than most counties. Is that true?
I think, when you look at the treatment courts, drug court, treatment court, they've got a domestic violence diversion program. Those have existed for decades, I think. Yeah.
Without funding.
Without funding. We now have teen court, that's back. It's been back since May of this year, so that's a good program. And we have first-time nonviolent offender program. So I can think of at least 5.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so those are the things, so again, it's a national, people use these national terms, definitions, or whatever. Well, I want police reform, or better yet, defund the police. What do that mean? You know, I mean, they're just, but again, the NAACP is not saying defund the police, you know, but I'm saying you have those definitions and what people see on national news, but it's no different than your post the other day. If we don't promote and of the things that we do, then it's going to always end up being negative. It's going to be Channel 2 News. It's going to be Channel 5. No different than when you guys are over on Indiana. Look how fast they came down regarding the shooting at the courthouse. I mean,
Yeah, but they come down
Yeah.
here for stuff like
Yeah, I mean, I'm
the
just saying it,
schedule
but
at
they
the
were
high
here.
school. There's a problem with the schedule for the high school, and the news stations converge down here to report on crap like
Right.
that. There's a fight in the cafeteria, which happens in schools all across the country. They come to Kankakee and they do a 3-part miniseries on it. But then you have that family, Mr. Hill, who's got a scholarship, football scholarship, is in a long line of family members, successful athletes, and there's no cameras coming down here for stuff like that. So
Two
I don't
high
even know
school-
that even if we promote it, I just feel like they're not going to cover it.
2 high schools are in the state playoffs.
Yep.
Eastside Junior Football League. 50 young ladies went up to Addison Trail High School, regional cheer competition. 50 girls going to national, Tampa, Florida, December 8th through the 12th. I mean, those are the kind of stories that we have to deal with. But then it's also those negative ones that you and I talked about the other day about certain individuals and how we're going to deal with them. And then you said, well, hey, black and white, I can only hold them for so many days.
Yeah. And you know,
we talked about it earlier.
you look at local media, radio, newspaper, that's how we learn about a lot of those stories. The local media does a great job covering the positive news, but it's the Chicago media. And you were with me that day, and
Yeah.
I kind of ran them off. I mean,
I was
you know,
there.
there's just a point they push you to, then they push you past that point, and that was one of those days. You just come down here for the negative news. Where are you when they're sending kids to colleges, when they're getting scholarships, when everything is working well at the school?
You
There's
know,
no
and,
reporting on that.
And you're right. That's why, I mean, we only been here less than an hour, but at the same time, even this is YouTube. So what I do, I get with the sheriff, and I'll try to send it out to some of the other branches, but then it tried to spread the word here in the state, you know, but I've been trying to get it on the regional and the national level to say this is what we have to do, because at the same time, when you go to these different sites, everything is really talking about, again, terminations, definitions of what is happening nationally. And that's what it's all about. And so again, we might not think, Doug might not think, well, I'm on the response team. Rhonda might not think it's a big deal. Donna might not think it's a big deal. But when you really look at it, it's a big deal, because this is something that is not happening. And if it does happen, how we have at least a Band-Aid on how we can address it. And so you wasn't here, but you remember the conversation we had in our September meeting on how far should we go as the response team when we're dealing with such as the shooting that was at the courthouse. So we talked about it earlier, and Andy, Chief Swinford, and Donna, we're going to try to add that into some of the training on Saturday. You know, so nothing else. Our next meeting is the 12th.
That's a holiday.
Is it? January 12th?
Oh, no, I'm thinking February. Nope, we're all good.
January 12th, noon, and then we could look at maybe a day in February.
February or
We-
March, yeah.
we could do because again, I just think the individuals in our county need to know that what is transpiring in Bradley, what is really going on in Bourbonnais, Mantino, the city of Kankakee, and the sheriff department as a whole, because again, some individuals might not think body cams is a really big thing, but it is. It is. And Pastor, I welcome you, and again, we meet again on the 12th, and I enjoyed the services and the things that you're trying to do in the community. And I'll keep stopping by, picking up my coin, too. So, Donna?
Just a quick question. I never heard of this before, but of course, I'm not in this arena, about the license plate camera.
LPRs?
Yeah. So is that something that is publicly known, or you guys don't want it to be publicly known? Or I just don't know about it?
We brought it to our county board, and they approved the purchase of it, but we didn't really advertise it. I don't know that any local agencies have
I was just sitting
brought
here
it out to,
Yeah. It's
you know,
very
the-
intriguing to know that you have that ability.
well, the best part about them too is they can be moved. So if there's a troubled area, we can identify those and move them. So, yeah, they're. No. No, these are just solar and mobile, and you don't really have to touch them once they're installed.
But Donna, again, it's what we have to do, where you and I talk Monday regarding policies. And so they voted on it. Was that some type of resolution that you had to have through
For
the
the
county
cameras?
board? Yeah.
We bought those through lost revenue through COVID. But yeah, the county board saw the presentation about them and voted on them, and at the Criminal Justice Committee,
So-
Finance Committee, and then.
So did the past state's attorney review privacy or anything to say? That's what I'm saying about.
No.
Oh, okay. That was the piece. But again, our next meeting is the 12th of January at 12 noon. And again, we might not think we're doing anything, but we are. And so can we get a motion to adjourn at 1:07? Moved by Chief Barber there, second by Rhonda. And, okay, thank you. No, yeah.